All right, we are here. We are here. Well, thank you to the attendees that are have joined us so far, and those who are watching on Facebook Live. This is a recorded session interview with Sax Afridi, just a powerhouse of an artist, and we're going to get into his work that he has as a featured artist in an exhibition with Vellum LA, and also connected with SuperRare. You also can see our co-host Maribel here. Maribel is working with us at Dot Red. And myself, Jeremy Quant, CEO and founder of Dot Red. We'll give you very little brief of just who we are, and then we'll dive right in because the biggest thing that we want to talk about is Sax, in his work. Dot Red, we're a social audio platform for visual artists. We work with traditional artists and sort of the new emerging digital artists, and we feature exhibitions online in this sort of hybrid format where galleries can have exhibitions in their traditional gallery and also have this additional online leg of social interaction. So you've got like a footprint in person and a footprint online. So with that said, the big heart of this all is allowing you to get in touch with the work in a much more deeper context, and being able to have artists really be able to express their work in a way where you can understand them, their process, and even have something that you can take away for yourself. Art spans so many different mediums and contexts and stories, and we believe that folks who really for those who are collectors, it's important to have that relationship really connected, and so we see that best fit with understanding the work a little bit more, and the artist as well, and where all the inspiration comes from. So with that said, let's dive in. Let's dive into Sax Afridi. I'm just going to give a little bit of bio on him, and Sax, I want you to sort of take it away with with yourself. So Sax is born in 1975, and please forgive me if I butcher this. Peshawar, Pakistan. But you're based in New York, and your work exists in a genre of Sci-Fi Sufism, which is about discovering galaxies and worlds within yourself. You try to visualize this search by fusing mysticism and storytelling, making objects in multiple mediums, a multidisciplinary artist, and draw inspiration from Sufi poetry, Afrofuturism, South Asian folklore, Islamic mythology, science fiction, architecture, and calligraphy. If that was not enough inspiration, one and only Sax Afridi. How you doing,
I didn't
man?
want to leave anything out. I wanted to be inspired by all those things.
Great, man. What? First off, how are you doing?
Thank you. First of all, thank you. Thank you both so much for setting this up and taking the time. This is this is a Sunday, and you guys have been doing a fantastic job in covering artists and covering the show, and just generally, I've recently learned about Dot Red, and it's a fantastic group. And congratulations on everything you're doing. I'm doing well. It's a Sunday. I've been versioning all morning. I've been listening to the Bankless podcast. which if you haven't heard, it's pretty good. And I have been just versioning JPEGs and PDFs of a series that I'm going to be dropping soon called Woven Portals. So it was a lot of just administrative work that I hate doing. But I had to, but yeah, I'm doing well. It's a Sunday. This is an exciting time, exciting week, exciting month. Lots going on. SuperRare, Vellum, the show. It was a great. It was really nice to get an email from Cinziana and Jesse, the curators of the show, and asked me to be involved as part of it. I love the other artists I'm with, so if anything else, I'm very excited about that. And then along the way, I've gotten to particularly Cinziana. I've gotten to know her, and she's been great, and the gallery's been great, and the exposure that they've done, and the communication and all of that, super top notch, super professional. Very happy. Can't praise Vellum enough. And then Cinziana is also an amazing artist too. She's a photographer, and I realized that later. And she's got such a great eye. So when she took those photos of those billboards and they came out so wonderfully, I now know why. She also got mugged recently, and somebody stole her chip, which is really sad.
Oh man.
But yeah. So.
Oh man, that hurts. That hurts. We won't get into other stories, but yeah, when you lose something like that, it's like a piece of, it's like an arm almost. All right. I've definitely had some works that have gotten, well, pencils. I have this Sharpie pen that is it's like my lifeline and my book. And there's I take it with me everywhere I go. And if I do not have it with me, I do feel some type of way, because there's some sort of lost expression.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, let's talk about your work at Vellum. The show is called Elsewhere in a Negative Mirror: Spatiality and the Architectural Imaginary in Digital Art. Let's talk about your piece specifically, and what it was like creating that, and your inspiration that you got from that.
Absolutely. So a piece I have at the show is called Space Mosque Sighting Number 3. And that comes from this body of work I did in 2000, pretty much all of 2000. I made it throughout all of 2017 and 18. And so most of the work is from 2019. And it's based on this parafictional narrative that I created, parafictional being made to look as if it really happened, as if it was real. And it was based on this narrative on this global phenomenon that happened in the near past. And
I don't mean to cut you off. I'm just going to bring it up just so that that folks can also see this work.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's based on this phenomenon that happened in the near past that has since been wiped from our memories, and there was due to the arrival of this mysterious spaceship, the spiritual machine from the future. Every human being on the planet got one prayer answered every 24 hours, and so during that time, good things happened, and bad things happened, of course, and the vessel itself manifested itself differently based on a person's own biases and faith. And so because the vessel was first seen in Pakistan, the newscasters that were reporting it saw this hovering mosque, and so they called it Space Mosque. And over the course of the phenomenon, that moniker stuck, but people saw it based on their own fluid biases and things that they believe in or don't believe in. And so when that vessel appeared, good things happened, bad things happened, and before you knew it, over a span of a few months, prayer replaced money as the global de facto currency. And when that happened, the corporations kind of came in, and and then one day it all just went away. It just disappeared, and we believe that this happened because um, the corporations started creating these things called prayer farms, because children's prayers were answered more than others. And so they capitalized on that. And then we have some documentation of global riots that happened at that time. And we believe that enough people prayed for it all to go away that it did. And all we're left with now are just remnants and artifacts of that forgotten time. And some of those remnants and artifacts, a collection of those remnants and artifacts made up the Space Mosque show that I had in 2019. And this piece here is sighting number 3. So this was the third sighting that was seen. We don't know who took the photograph of it, but this may have been, I want to say this was taken over Cairo. And along with the show, there were other elements and components that were found, some machine objects from the vessel, some architectural drawings, some artifacts fallen from pieces. There were these praying robots on the vessel called angels, and there were anthropomorphic neogenerative energy living systems, and they had their own body parts and things like that. So we found some hands and other things, and some newspaper articles as well, and some videos. So this collectively became the Space Mosque show. It was shown at Icon Gallery in New York exactly 3 years ago, and a little later on in the year, it was shown at the Ford Foundation as well. And that was as some of the pieces of the show were shown there. But yeah, that's essentially the narrative of Space Mosque. Where it exists today is, I kind of got busy with my other projects as well, but this was, but I'm working on it as a graphic novel, and there is potential of it turning into a TV show. There was some momentum of that early on in 2019. And honestly, I just kind of got busy on other projects, but that's something that I need to jump back on. Yeah, but so that's kind of like the background of Space Mosque, and it's taking this science fiction narrative and taking this idea of, it all stemmed from this thought of, if all the world's prayers were answered, would it change the world or just yours? And like, who do we pray for? What do we want? These are the kinds of questions that it poses. And if we were to pray for anything, if we want for anything, would it just be selfish, or would it be selfless? So yeah, that's a little bit about Space Mosque. I mean, I can probably go on and on about it, but I'll just leave it at that as a quick.
Yeah. No, that is such an excellent narrative. I mean, it brings this sort of like, this forefront of sort of a paradigm shift, right, in consciousness, and some sort of, like you said, sort of fantasy, sort of sci-fi fantasy,
Right.
like this this conflict, right? But also a big blessing of, what would happen if everyone were given prayers to that would be realized, right, and manifested, on a sort of on a smaller scale. There obviously is that possibility, but you've really condensed it and sort of extrapolated in this storyline where more can happen now that manifestation can occur so much quicker.
It kind of opened up a world, right? Once the rules of this world and the story of this narrative were in place,
Mhm.
then that led to new and different artworks to be created around the space. So like even for example, in this vessel alone, if you see on top and on the sides, there are these rivets and things going in, and these are all engineering schematics. But like on the inside of that orange glow coming in,
Mhm.
that's there's some calligraphy in there. There's some Arabic Kufic calligraphy in there, which actually looks a lot like engineering schematics because it is all very kind of blocky. And then there's more of a floral Persian rug pattern that's happening inside the orange glow area where it's coming out of. So I try to incorporate elements from Islamic architecture
Mhm.
and just sort of that aesthetic. And I combine it with this very sort of engineering, tech, futuristic aesthetic, and kind of bring them together to make something fresh. So that was essentially the entire, I guess, North Star for the project as well. And I also on some of the pieces I collaborated with an architect, Freda Kolatan, and some of his students. He also teaches at Pratt and UPenn. And so I collaborated with him and some of his students to create some of the artifacts as well.
Wow.
And the brief there was also, let's just create some spiritual machines. What would a spiritual machine look like? Something that is, that has desires and faith connected with ones and zeros, and what would that kind of be like? Let me just maybe I can share this screen really quick
Sure.
to just perhaps show a couple of other pieces within the Space Mosque body of work, so people can get. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
To get a little bit of like further expansion on it.
Wow.
So this first piece, can you see my mouse as I'm moving it around as well?
Yes. Mhm.
All right. So this first piece was the very first sighting, and as you can see, it borrows a lot from an Islamic minaret, and brings in a spaceship approach to it as
Yeah.
well.
Wow.
Moving on to another sighting over here as well. And this was originally designed by Sangun Seo, who's one of the students of Ferda. And
Wow.
I just love these sort of long pillars that were kind of coming out. And I had a lot of fun playing with materials and putting it all together. There's some promos and videos of the show as well.
Yeah, some of that reminds me of almost like this artist Sid Mead, who had these sort of like
Oh, I
very
love Sid Mead. Thank you.
futuristic, I mean, beautiful work. But you've taken it to another level and really
Yeah,
involved their personal
Sid Mead is
experience.
just fantastic. This piece is called the Prayer Catcher. This was a sculpture, of the sort of a pretty large sculpture, but it
Mhm.
was an artifact from the vessel. And there's like narrative and story behind each one of these.
Mhm.
Like this piece here is called Space Time. It's also another sighting, but this interesting story on this one is this is a collab that I did with my friend Narsi, Rockefeller Records, who he's a Iraqi Canadian hip hop artist, and he had this photograph. He worked with Tamara Abdul Hadi and Roy Saded, and together they had this image, and so I collaborated with them to create the the spaceship around it, and then this ended up being the album cover too.
Wow.
So if you look at Narsi Space Time on Spotify, I can probably throw the link in. It's a great album, and this is the album cover. And
That,
then sightings kind of continue.
yeah.
The angels, the robots, the praying robots continue.
Wow.
These are some of the other artifacts that we found. This was a hovering minaret that is a sculpture from the show. It actually hovers off the pedestal, like literally hovers. And then these are some of the artifacts that were found from the ship. So you can see this idea of bringing in marble with with steel and metal and gold to kind of bring these. And then there were stories. There were stories of things happening. Like, there was a story of a little boy in Peshawar, Pakistan, where his parents were estranged, and he one night prayed to spend more time with his dad. And so the next morning when he woke up, his sandals had grown wings. And so after school, he would fly to go see his father every day, and then come back. And so this was a sculpture in the show, but alongside it was also a newspaper article of that phenomenon that happened during that time. And then, after the show happened, these ended up becoming wearables as well. I partnered with a company called Marfor, and we created this. Here we go. We created a series.
That's amazing.
Wearables around them. So the story of the sandal kind of goes through, and now and then I did like photography around it as well.
Yeah, I love those photographs.
Thank you.
It's so funny. It reminds me. I would take these photographs with friends, and I would just like jump in the air, and
Yes.
but like that still moment, right, of like levitation, and you've coupled it with these shoes,
Yeah.
provides such a beautiful experience of flight, right? And those wings,
Yes.
it just points right to it. So
Um,
really, really great.
so, I mean, I didn't want to take too
No,
much,
no, no.
but I
I
just kind of
mean,
wanted to give a context
for
of
sure.
what the story was, what the narrative is, what the body of work that comes with that one sighting does. And each of them, there was like with each sighting, the creation of each sighting was a very special moment. Like that particular sighting number 3 is actually originates from a floral leaf, and it's really a leaf. And Oh no, I'm sorry. The leaf is another piece. This is an Arabic calligraphy of the letter Wow and Alif brought together and then turned on its side, and then I mess with it. But it all originates from either a motif or a piece of calligraphy or
Mhm.
something as simple as that, and then kind of gets developed over. And then I
Wow.
create all the textures and the 3D around it. Some of them have gone on to become sculptural elements. Most of them have stayed in on flat as renderings.
Mhm. Wow. I mean, just it's like expansive. Your imagination has like so juicy.
There's so much, man. There's so much
Uh,
in the story. It's
uh,
crazy. I haven't even like. I feel like I haven't even touched the surface with you. So I'm just gonna leave it there. I can really go into it.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's just, just the mark. I mean, I just have to say of just great work and great artistry is just like it's just like the gift that keeps on giving. I mean, you create
Thank you.
something and it turns over into something else, and it
Yeah.
just like as long as you allow it to continue to unfold, more and more will show up. And so that
Yes.
I can totally tell that with your work, and also sort of your background. I mean, you're a multidisciplinary artist. You've worked, textile design, advertising. I mean, you've touched so many different mediums and even industries to an extent, which is all poured into your creative work. My question in around, um, you know, I think what happens with some artists that I've seen is like they can get stuck in a certain style of
The art
work.
world wants you to get stuck in that style,
Mm,
so they can market you.
got you.
And this might sound like a cop out, but to me, concept determines medium, uh, and or at least I let it in the case
Mhm.
of Space Mosque. If the idea told me that it was going to be a sculpture, that was going to be a pair of shoes, which then went on to become wearables and then went on to become a product, or if it was some kind of spaceship, which then ends up becoming a sculpture, that's okay. It can go into those directions wherever it has most impact. But with me, everything starts digitally for the most part, just because it's the language I'm most comfortable in. You said you have a notebook that you write in, and you've got your Sharpie pen that you can't live without. And for me, that's that's the Photoshop, Cinema 4D, Adobe Illustrator, all that stuff. And it's just a language I'm comfortable in, and can move around. And yes, I use it. So my day job is I'm a creative director in advertising. And you guys in California, so you don't know, or you haven't had the wonderful experience of my client that is White Castle. White Castle, yeah. Do you know White Castle?
No, I'm not familiar.
White Castle is a fast food brand. They are the inventors of fast food, actually. They're the very first fast food restaurant. And they're,
wow.
Yeah, they're not in California yet, but there's you may know them from the movie Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle.
Okay.
But anyhow, so and then Mercedes-Benz as well. So I work on advertising for cars and fast food. But we work with film. I get to work with filmmakers, with cinematographers and directors, and I get to make social content, and I get to think of ideas for brands and clients. So that allows me, and I get to collaborate and work with different people. So that has allowed me to kind of be a little more open with my mediums and play around with it. The art world really wants you to be, not just a painter, but a painter with a very specific style and a very specific technique, because then because then they can categorize you and create value based on that. So it's all a value system. So if they can categorize you and then price you accordingly to this, you're a surer bet than if you're all over the place and doing all different things. And I really recommend for artists to not be all over the place. I don't see myself as all over the place. I do see a single thread that goes through all my work and on all my mediums. And that is, futuristic thinking while keeping ancient traditions in mind, and particularly ancient traditions that come from the part of the world that I hail from, and showing people new ways to experience that and getting people to change their perceptions. That's sort of the thread that goes through all my work. And it can vary, There's brands, you look at Mercedes-Benz, and it's the best or nothing. And whether it's a TV commercial that they do, or it's just a little throwaway or something. If you look at Nike, they do so many different things, but it all comes down to, does it have that thread, that thread of just do it that goes through it?
Sure. Yeah.
Does it touch every point? And I kind of apply that advertising thinking into my art practice. And if it sings the same tune, the medium shouldn't matter.
Wow.
And that's why getting into NFTs has been so easy. Wow. Because it really shouldn't matter. To me, it's still art. It's not an NFT. An NFT is just a token. It's just a piece of code in a contract. We're still dealing with art. It's just a different value system. That's all.
Yeah. Great point. I mean, with sort of the world around NFTs and the craze, at the end of the day, and something that we very much believe, it still comes to good art. Art that can tell a story, art that has context, and in the work, even the artist that is putting into that. And so, with
certain types of art, I would say, though. Sorry for interrupting.
Sure.
I just for certain types of art, there's like different categories within NFTs, as you know, right?
Sure.
There's the one of one fine artists, and I think and in that category, you are absolutely right. It is about the art, but then there's there's a whole other world of collectibles,
Sure.
and some of it is about the art, but not all of it. There's so many other things like utilities and community
Sure.
and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
And but then at the same time, there's also Decentraland and Sandbox and the
Hmm.
metaverse and virtual land and virtual places, and that's a whole other world. And then there's sports cards, and that's a whole other world. So I would say the one of one fine artists are a section of the NFT universe.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
A great section, a section that we desperately needed for
Yeah.
not just digital artists, but all artists to kind of experience and be able to monetize and raise value for themselves and their work.
For sure, for sure. Well, yeah. I mean, well, let's get into the NFT world and the metaverse and sort of string that with your work and your creative process because you've like you said you've been in so many different worlds and now sort of NFTs is sort of like a new world, but you bring you still bring you there, right? And I think maybe other artists might see that as they've completely changed their medium.
Yeah.
It's them as an artist, and so they may be you know in some context maybe selling out to their sort of creative work, and now they're going in this NFT path. So can you shed some more light on how you're still keeping all of that consistent with your work?
For me, it was very important to have a voice of my own
Hmm.
and follow not follow trends.
Hmm.
Um, and I think any successful artist in the space has had a voice of their own and not followed, you know, these trends. But I'm trying to think of how best to answer you. I get on average one message a day from artists I know in the traditional art world wanting to get into NFTs, and that uh, makes me very excited because I love nothing more than onboarding people so that they can see this like for the light bulb to go off, it really is an aha moment. But then
Hmm.
at the same time, half these artists are like, hey, so I see a lot of people doing these pixelated photos, these or images and illustrations. I'm thinking of doing those. Or like, hey, I've made these drawings, I'm thinking of like doing a 10,000 drop on them. What do you think? And I kind of tell them, I'm like, this has got nothing to do with your practice. You're really trying to come in here to try and kind of monetize on it, and that's you know you're NGMI. You're not going to make it. So there are people doing that, and I
Great
think that's
acronym.
okay. I,
Great acronym. I've never heard of that. NGMI.
NGMI, yeah, there's many acronyms in the NFT space. My favorite acronym is WAGMI, which is we're all going to make it.
We're all gonna make it. I love that.
And what's great about that is it's based on this idea of rising tide lifts all ships.
Hmm.
And if we all help each other, and another great thing about the NFT space is that artists who enter the space also start collecting in the space.
Hmm.
And because there aren't enough collectors yet,
Right.
it's so early that we
Right.
have become collectors. And along the way, I've kind of started collecting other artists' work too. And it's great to start supporting other works. So,
Yeah, highly agreed. I mean, a lot of our traditional collectors, many of them are older, right? Many of them are, 40s, 50s plus, right, that have the distinguishable
Yeah.
income, that have the time to invest, right? And so in sort of the digital space, where a lot of those folks are still going to take their time in coming in. Some of them will get it quicker than others, but of course, age can have this sort of context around being able to,
Not easy.
yeah,
It's not
get
easy entering the
acclimated.
space.
It's not, and
It's not.
so it's. I think there's just with WAGMI, great acronym in supporting the idea where artists support other artists, support their community, right, in getting involved because of the possibilities, the opportunities that are really open for them. And so, how best can we do that? One, as you said, investing in other artists that you really enjoy. I mean, these
Yeah.
are these are comrades. These are people who've either worked in
Authentic
real
works.
practice, authentic works, right? And they really put that time and effort into that. And so, that is really how well, a way in which the NFT community has really blossomed, right, is supporting each other in these networks. I mean, because of technology, it's given us such aptitude for
Really.
for
Yeah.
group connection, community building on on steroids to some extent, and but at the end of the day, really supporting each other because so much of this stuff is very, very new, very new.
And we're all making mistakes, and we're all,
Mhm.
half of us get scammed at any given point. It's very early, and because of that, we're learning how to do things best. And unfortunately, there are people who will try and sweet talk you into giving them your seed phrase or your wallet or clicking on some link, and before you know it, you've you've been hacked. So there's a little bit of that, but you just have to be smart and don't rush into it.
Mm.
Take your time, understand, just listen. I would say, tell anybody coming into the space, just come in and start listening to Twitter spaces about NFTs, and maybe an hour here and an hour there, just
Mhm.
get to know the terms, get to know the
Yeah.
approaches. And then if you're interested in investing in artists or investing in projects that are either by artists or by groups, and they're collectibles or fine art or whatever it is,
Yeah.
get to know the people, get to know what they're about, get to know the community. The community word is huge in the space. Everybody lives on, every project has a Discord, so that's kind of where you go and you get to know the other people following them, and
Mhm. Mhm.
the artists and groups themselves, and then and then invest, as opposed
Right.
to wanting to
Right.
just like jump in and just convert some dollars to Ethereum and just start buying. No, just
Right.
okay, take your
Right.
time, learn, ask
Yeah,
questions. It's so early, nobody's going to roll their eyes,
for sure.
and people are very open and helping in the space, or at least
Right.
I've been fortunate enough to find mentors and people. I mean, like this guy JN Silva, who brought me into the space. Fantastic human being.
Mm.
Also my first collector, but then also just helpful people. There's a photographer, Dave Krugman, very successful, before and now during the NFT phenomenon as well.
Mhm.
And like, he heard about my project and I wanted a piece of music for it, and so he's like, oh, I got a musician for you, this guy Ollie Channon. And he introduces me to him. Ollie's a fantastic guy. He puts a score under this animation piece, and then that was like my first foundation piece. It was my
Wow.
Genesis piece on foundation, and it's a 4-minute animated video called Carousel, about the dictator within all of us. And so
Yeah.
so just like these people are helping each other out
Right.
constantly.
Yeah. People.
Telegram groups,
Mhm.
Discord groups, like we
Yeah.
all kind of create our little micro communities,
Right.
uh, and try to help each other.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, and to add on to that, other artists, groups, organizations or Vellum's got like they support, right? Super Rare. I mean, they're actively giving, sharing information so that people can equip themselves, right, to be able to enter into this space, safely, and
Yeah.
also in a way where there's some navigation, and so with your uh, with your path, it wasn't all done alone, right? This wasn't just something you just figured out.
Never.
You
Way.
you yourself and you, right? You've really
There's
been able to lean on others to
so
support,
many people.
which is so useful.
Yeah. Ali Sabet is another artist that I've learned a lot from. I mean, he's taken so much time away from his own practice and time, and he
Mhm.
spent hours with me on the phone explaining things to me. He's the first one to explain to me what a collection is, how best to drop a collection, how to price your work, how to edition your work, and it's funny, some of the advice that I think on back on now that was a year ago. Things have changed so much, and he's gone off to like such great altitudes and heights. I'm so happy and thrilled for him. But he was a great mentor in that sense, just giving great advice. And I try to do that to new people who come in. And my biggest one is stay authentic, because the collectors who are going to be buying your work will look for authenticity. The space is very quick to smell Me Too, projects, or
Hmm. Hmm.
and by Me Too projects, I meant copycat projects,
Right. Yeah.
or just they're just it's very quickly cringed upon in the space. So authenticity is key. Definitely.
Yeah.
And
Agree.
and there's new inventions every day. There's like a new innovation every day. My mind is blown away every day when there's something new has happened, or a new way to look at a smart contract or do
Right.
something, and you're like, wow, this, like, that alone can be an artwork.
Right.
Like Pak is an artist who he plays around with smart contracts, and smart contracts are his canvas, which is so cool. Like
Wow.
the tech itself is
Right.
can be the
Right.
artwork.
Right.
You
Right.
know?
Exactly. And artists are the first to be able to say, you know what, I'm gonna I'm gonna almost satirize what is the convention that
Totally,
makes this
totally.
actually
Yeah.
possible, right? Which is
What's
just it's great. I mean, really, just no boundaries, to this sort of evolution
Yeah.
and I would say sort of kind of climb in acceleration to technology. I mean, we really being open to hear new information. I think is going to be really critical this year, and more so now than ever, because just the amount of information that comes in that is being shared has to be filtered, and if you close yourself off to it all, some of those blessings can't be really realized.
Or it
Definitely
can
to an
get so
extent,
inundating.
right? You don't want to just consume everything where you can't even realize up from down. But giving yourself that space for yourself, and then being able to come to it with an open ear and eye, but have it also a good critical thinking point of view. Well, talk to me about what's coming up for you, because I've heard you've got some new things on the horizon.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I'm going to start with I'll tell you about two things. First of all, some of the Space Mosque work, the Vellum show that's up right now. It's at the LA Art Fair and at the gallery, and I believe it's on until Feb 3rd. So I'm excited about that. And alongside that, and now that we've talked about Space Mosque and you guys know what it is, I'm planning on dropping maybe 3, 4 other pieces from Space Mosque on SuperRare as well. So my strategy is kind of keep Space Mosque within the world of the SuperRare platform. I'm gonna the next drop that I'm gonna do with Narcy and Roy and Tamara on the Space Time album cover. And so there'll be a music component with that as well, and then some other sightings. And then in the near future, I'm also dropping a body of work that called Woven Portals, and this is a 2D work, and it's all vector-based work, and it combines. So Persian rugs are a big component of my practice. I make woven works. I make actually handcrafted, handmade contemporary art rugs as part of my traditional art practice, and it just made sense to bring that into my sort of digital NFT world as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been doing that.
Excellent.
And so I've done it in 3D, and now I'm doing it in 2D, where I'm taking these Persian rugs and the infinite geometry of it, and I'm combining it with spaceship interface designs and tech schematics and things like that. And I'm blending them to create these new abstract artworks. And so I'm dropping 50 pieces to start off with. It's going to be 100 pieces total. And I'm dropping 50 probably in the next week to 10 days.
Wow.
And so most likely,
everybody get ready for that one, because that is
yeah. I think that's going to be exciting. I'm not pricing them at a anything like too high. I want to make them accessible as well. But what I'm most excited about these works is while they're more than a JPEG. Because they're all vector based, I very purposely made them all in Adobe Illustrator using a technique that I've been developing since 2017. And so the collector will be able to also download or unlock a link to a PDF file of the artwork. And this, because it's vector based, what does that mean? That means if I have this PDF, as a collector, I can print it at any size that I want. If I want to take this artwork and I want to blow it up and make it a mural in my living room, I can do that. Or if I want to print it up in a nice, small, 24 by 30 or something, you can do that too. You want to turn it into upholstery, you can do that. Although I don't know if you want to do that. Or put it on a hoodie, that's fine. So those are things that they can do for their personal, however they'd like to use it for their personal use. So I'm giving people the PDF with each artwork. And that's kind of my utility. I mean, the art is the utility. But these works are. Yeah, let me see if I can share.
Yes, and while you're sharing, if anyone who has some questions, get prepared, because in about a couple more minutes we'll open to questions.
Yeah, here we go. I knew I would have it open up. So like you can see some of the works here.
Wow.
So you can kind of see what they look like. But like I was saying, they're all in the details.
Wow.
So here you can see, like in that third image, how detailed they can get.
That is awesome.
And they're printable at any size without any loss of quality. I'm just going to go through some of these pieces here. This is like, people haven't really seen this yet.
Wow. I feel like my eyes are so new to this.
This is just my existing collectors have, because they've got first dibs on them. Like if you like you see that red dot, this piece has been spoken for. So they vary like that.
These are
Uh,
incredible.
if I go down into some of the, I have some details. Let me see if I can go into some of the details here. Yeah, like
I love, 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 love the. Wow, those are great. I love
so
the.
you can really get into.
Yeah, those the rug designs. I mean, I imagine they're all stemmed from
Yes, yes,
textile design and
yes.
pattern work, which is great. I love that. When it
You can
so-
see it here. Like you can see
yeah.
these little, how they're broken up, and they blend into each other to create a new thing. And I blend them in directionally, and I take um, I'll take like an element like a part of a Persian rug or part of a infinite geometry piece, but then a spaceship interface, and I'll outline everything. So everything is strokes, just outline, empty in the middle. And
Wow.
then I'll blend them together so they kind of create these new objects.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
know? And you can
Yeah.
see them morphing from one into the other. And so this is where it becomes a play of man and machine. So
Sure.
I compose it, I put it together and I make the connecting lines, and then I hit generate. And the script creates something, and I look at it and then I go, oh, okay, this part I love. Or sometimes it's just like, that's perfect, done. Or most of the times it's like, all right, it's tweaking here, tweaking there. So it's very much a hand process, but the blending is done generatively.
Algorithm. Yeah. Yeah, algorithmically. Wow. That is just so interesting and fun and just a fresh look at something that we've known for so long, for generations, ancient, and you've really taken it to 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 the now and future. I love the ones that are a little bit more flat, because it's all like, for those, even this is great. It's like, for those who can still see the rug itself, but extrapolated is really, really mind-boggling.
I mean, and each one is different.
Look like,
This one has some circuitry over here,
right, yeah, that definitely looks like
but it
circuit.
looks like a heart, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But this blue and red, this is Tatriz embroidery. Tatriz embroidery is a Palestinian, is a type of Tatrez. So this is actually not a woven rug. This is a Palestinian embroidery that is very grid oriented. If you look at weaving, it's very grid oriented,
Sure.
and
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
mathematics is very grid oriented, and engineering schematics are very grid oriented. So they connect. And if you look at the detail here, you can see how, like, close up, it just looks like very grid like, but you step away, you see that the
Wow.
trees pattern.
And that's
Uh,
amazing, because when you have this vector, the closeness, right? Like, it's like when you go to a painting in a gallery and you see from afar, you see it's a nice, almost like a realistic portrait, but then
right.
you get up really, really, really close and you see all of the brush strokes. But they've
Yeah.
been done in such a way um, that still gives that figurative piece from afar.
Mhm.
Excellent, man. Excellent, excellent work. Really
So
excited. Really
yeah,
excited.
these are going to be these
Coming
are going to
up.
be fun. I'm very
Yeah.
excited about them.
Wow. Well, with that said, I've been slightly drooling over over this past presentation. I'm going to open up the floor if there are any questions that anyone has, who are still here with us. Let's see.
Oh,
I'm
there's a
just going
chat.
back to some of the comments. Aaron said, I think earlier, spiritual machines. That's the wave.
Spacecraft.
Yes, yes, for sure.
There it is.
Um, yeah. I've just really, really, really blown away by your work, and I mean you've got such a great story, and I think above all what you've done throughout this whole process is you've really kept your work authentic, like really kept it authentic to
Thank
you,
you.
your
I
back.
tried. That's my main thing, is to try and keep it of mine and uniquely mine, so
Hmm.
people, even though it's a different thing, they'll see the thread that goes through,
Hmm. Hmm.
and I hope that comes
Yeah.
across. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Someone we do have a question. Did the one is does the Space Mosque story coincide with your NFT carpet collection?
No, no, it doesn't. It Not really, not really. I've taken some elements of carpets from an aesthetic perspective. Like I said, I've taken elements of a leaf or a stem from a carpet design, and that has been the genesis of the crux of the design of a spaceship. I literally have one spaceship that is a leaf that is twisted, and then sort of built on that. Um, so in that sense, it doesn't. However, my very first rug that I made was called. Let me see if I can share the screen again. Was called the Insider Outsider rug, and this piece had a UFO in the middle of the rug, and so this kind of brought. Here we go. This was my first rug that
Nice.
that I made, and so I've also gone and photographed them in different parts of the world.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
And like this is in my village in Pakistan. By the way, I come from a village in Pakistan. So you know, so
Wow.
UFOs and rugs have been connected. This is a prayer rug.
Nice. Wow.
Um, so I have had them connected that way because there is a connection to the divine, whatever the divine
Hmm.
means,
Hmm.
and space and infinity and the infinite. Uh,
Right.
and this was a way of kind of talking about that. But the Space Mosque story itself does not have any of my rugs, but I would say spaceships were first incorporated into my rugs, and then the Space Mosque story came after that. I hope that answers the person's question.
Hmm. Yeah, no, that I think it does. I think it does. That's fantastic. I love these rugs. They're
Thank
so
you. So I have them available as IRL pieces as well. These are hand woven in Pakistan, and there are like editions of three.
yeah, for
So there
sure.
are very, very limited pieces, editions of three. I have not dis- I haven't I have yet to bring these into the NFT world. And by that I mean you can buy them
Sure.
really instead of dollars. Really, I just kind of create an NFT around it, and then this becomes the physical attachment with the NFT, and I can do it that way too. I just haven't, but I've been thinking about it.
Hmm.
And I may do that for a larger run, but I'm not sure yet.
Got you, got you. And then the other question was, the title of the graphic novel was what is the title of the what
What is
is
it going to be? So the graphic novel has not been released yet. I am going to release it when it's made. Right now, it is. But when it comes out, it's going to be called Space Mosque. However, it will. We're so you know in advertising, you have usually there's creative teams of like an art director and a copywriter. So my partner in advertising, his name's Eddie Van Bloom. He's also like one of my very close, like probably my best friend, and I work with him all day. So we sit around and we're talking about stuff all the time. And so he's been a huge helpful um, force with Space Mosque, and he and I have been writing the graphic novel story together. And so we were down to like character arcs and all of that other you guys are all in Hollywood, you know what I'm talking about. But it's
yes.
all very much kind of in that world. So we haven't even started inking it yet or drawing it yet. We're still writing the story, so I think it's a ways out. But
Mhm.
we do work on it every, we try to work on it every week. We dedicate time, and go through it. I did find it very interesting and fascinating because I've always seen Space Mosque as a a 3-part movie or a 3-season TV show as well. But I wanted to introduce it to the world as an art show, just because they're art objects, and it was fantastic seeing it in Los Angeles on billboards in these spaces, these spaceships hovering around Los Angeles. And
Yes.
I'd always
Yes.
imagined and manifested, and I guess it happened in one way or the other.
There it is. There it
And
is.
you never know. You never know.
The space mosque is coming to reality. That those prayers are being answered.
Absolutely.
You got
J.J. Abrams is driving by.
You got your one prayer.
Yeah. Ridley Scott, J.J. Abrams are driving by, and they see that, and they're like, "Huh, who's that? What is that?"
There it is. They find you. Yes. Well, man, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you, getting
Thank
to know you and your work. Just an incredible depth to your work and your authenticity as an artist, and also just being giving those gems for artists who are really trying to navigate their own path in just building themselves as an artist, as a creative, knowing that there's many opportunities for them, especially now. And it really takes an openness, being an openness, and being willing to ask for help.
That's
Yeah.
key. I think vulnerability and openness is key.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
artists they tend to be like that, But the world isn't all artists. There's all sorts of people in the world, and the NFT space is no different. You're gonna get a variety. But if anybody has any questions, I've been doing it for about a year now, and I'm happy to answer or help anybody who can, who has any thoughts or questions. And even if you're not an artist and you're a collector and you're wondering how to start beginning your collection in this space, I can also talk to you about that as well, because I'm that too now.
Yeah, great. Artists, collectors, art enthusiasts, educators. Talk to this man. I'm gonna drop the link to Space Mosque from SuperRare if people are interested in that. It's in the chat now. If people want to check it out, and get it. Your work is really, really good, and I wouldn't see why anyone wouldn't to have it, in their wallet, have it on their new
their new screen. There's so many
screen,
cool displays.
man. I know.
So many,
Yeah, we could have a whole other call just about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but thank you so much. Like I said, thank you to you. Thank you, Marty Bell, for helping to co-host and moderate.
Been very quiet.
I know you've been in the background just watching. To LA Art Show. The show is still going on. It finishes today at 6 p.m. To Vellum LA. Great gallery. They're still here and have a great space in LA.
Third shows on
Shows on till February 3rd. Thank you. And SuperRare, for where people can find you.
13th. Sorry.
February 13th. Thank you.
I knew there was a 3 in there.
Linziana, thank you. Awesome. Okay. Well, have a blessed rest of your day. Thank you everybody for joining us. If you are interested in getting any more interviews of really, really great artists, you can check out our website at .red.co and subscribe. We have newsletters that are specific to each individual, whether you're a collector, an artist, or just an art lover, and we're here and just excited to be here at just such an exciting time. So again, thank you all. Have a great day.